Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Janet Goings, the Associate Director of UCLA's Undergraduate Research Center for the Sciences. Here at UCLA, we have two undergraduate research centers. So we have for sciences, which includes all of our STEM fields, and then we also have one for the humanities, arts, and social sciences. So between both of those centers, we have all majors and all research interests covered. And for the URC Sciences, what we do is we support undergraduates who are doing research on campus. And this is a great way to get course credit. So we help you get course credit. We provide professional development. And best of all, we provide financial support for you. Now, in regards to course credit, this is our SRP or Student Research Program 99. This is 1 or 2 units that you can sign up for. And they're pass, no pass. This is something that can kind of prove on your transcripts that you did the research, you put that full effort into it. We have some workshops and an FAQ site that you can go visit. So the workshops help guide you through that contract process. And then the FAQs answer a lot of the questions students have. And these slides will be made available to you. So you'll have access to all the hyperlinks I'm presenting to you today. One key thing to keep in mind is that you do need to already have a faculty mentor first before you can sign up for SRP 99. We don't place you into labs. We can help kind of give you some guidance, but ultimately that's on the student. And that's so you find the right fit for you, right? I don't know you as well as you know you, and you can find that best mentor-mentee fit for yourself. So when it comes to getting started in research, though, we do have ways to help you. One is our undergraduate research portal. This is where we're encouraging faculty to post opportunities for students to look through. And as students, you can create a profile for faculty to look through when they're looking for students. We've also partnered with the Career Center, so we have external opportunities being imported into the portal. So if you don't see something you like, I definitely encourage you to keep looking because it's updated regularly. But don't let that stop you from trying some of our other resources, which encourage you to reaching out to faculty directly. And I would encourage you to go ahead and send your profile, a link to your profile when you reach out to faculty directly. So we have the portal, but definitely take advantage of networking opportunities, going to office hours, talking with fellow students, talking with your graduate teaching assistants, because they're likely to be the mentors that you would have when you do a research experience. So see if there's an opening in their lab. You're going to hear from some fantastic student groups here in a bit, and that's a great way to network. A lot of these students will be doing research, so you can find out from them about availabilities maybe in their research groups, and you can also learn what working for that faculty is like. But again, we have some online advice and additional workshops for you to look at. Just some general pro tips for you when you reach out to faculty. You definitely want to be professional in these emails to them. You need to know about that lab, what they do research-wise. Don't make it a form letter. We can see that a mile away. That kind of turns us off right away. And you don't need to know about our research as much as we do, right? We know we're going to mentor you, but if you've looked into it and said, okay, I'm really interested in doing research with your group for X, Y, and Z reasons, just show that you've looked at the web page. Read 1 or 2 papers from that lab. That's a fantastic way to separate you from students who are applying to get research experience, but don't really want to put any effort into it. So if you already show that you're taking that positive step, you show yourself as a very professional, responsible, and genuinely interested student. When also you email, make sure you share what you can bring to the table. So how many hours a week, how much more time do you have here at UCLA to give to them, any relevant courses or experiences. But again, these workshops will walk you through that. I know we've had a lot of questions about starting research while we've been remote during COVID-19, and it's great that we're moving back to more in person, but just knowing that the future is still questionable in some ways. If you're still working remotely, or if that comes up again in the future, just know that you can still do research remotely. At the very least, you can make connections, learn more about potential projects, start reading papers. Remote work is primarily computational. You might be doing a lot of literature review. We did put out a suggestions for remote research and mentoring document right after we had to close down, 2 years ago. And I invite you to look through that for some ideas in there. For our professional development that we have a number of different resources on our website linking you out to different ways or different guides on how to present your research, both in writing and orally and in poster presentations. We give advice for applying to graduate school and fellowships. We also have links to conferences that we know are great opportunities for undergraduates to go and share their research. We have travel grants that can help support you in going to these conferences. Our in-house travel grant is up to $300 reimbursement. And then we also put links to student groups and organizations that we work with. So you're going to hear from the Undergraduate Science Journal, shameless self-promotion because I'm their faculty mentor. I think they're amazing. I think we have some of these other groups here today as well, so I really shouldn't dampen them. So I apologize for that. A group that's not listed up here on this slide, but is a fairly new student group I would highly recommend is also the Undergraduate Journal Club. This is a great club to join to help you learn how to kind of read and present on science, and you don't have to be doing research. So they're a fantastic group. You're going to hear more about the Undergraduate Science Journal next, but I always like to give a plug for it. You can join this as a student member and or you can be an author, and we accept publications from all different STEM fields, and we want students from all different backgrounds and experience levels to apply. We like students who can bring a fresh pair of eyes, and certainly we like students who have experience that they can bring to the journal, and we accept both review and research papers to publish. So deadline is November 15th for staff, and deadline for submission is January 10th this coming year. And then also for professional development, we have Research Week, and this is our week-long celebration of undergraduate research here at UCLA. We have a number of events that fill up the entire week. One of our big events was formerly called Research Poster Day. It has now been renamed to the Undergraduate Research and Creativity Showcase. The past 2 years, we've moved it online just to be safer and to still have it. Upcoming is a little up in the air as to what exactly that's going to look like. I think we're going to do some sort of hybrid for you all, but we've already have the date saved as May 24th, 2022. That's another great opportunity to learn about the research students are doing. So if you haven't found a lab yet, go talk to these students because there are going to be a lot of juniors and seniors who are getting ready to graduate. You may be able to replace them. And then when you do start research, definitely take this as an aim to come and share the great, fantastic work that you've been doing. And that gets to go on your CV as presentations that you've done. And then, of course, I've been saving the best for last. We have financial support. We have a number of programs that support students. So these cover all majors. We cover all backgrounds. We have programs that are for students of all majors and all backgrounds. We have programs that are specifically designed to support students who have been traditionally underrepresented in STEM fields. So if these apply to you, definitely check them out. If they don't apply to you, don't worry. There's plenty of money to go around. Look at these scholarships out there. We also have links on our website to external scholarships we're aware of that you can apply for. Two to keep in mind that are a great first kind of stop to look at are our Undergraduate Research Fellows program and our Undergraduate Research Scholars program. Our Undergraduate Research Fellows program, or URFP, applications are this fall, and it supports you to do research in the winter and spring quarters up to $3,000. There's also a professional development course taught by yours truly, and we cover professional development skills that complement the research skills that you're getting. So we talk about applying to graduate school and other kind of post bachelor's programs, and we talk about applying to other scholarships, and we talk about the importance of diversity and equity and inclusion. We talk about research ethics and presentation skills, all sorts of good stuff. And the Undergraduate Research Scholars program supports students, just juniors and seniors. URFP is for all grade levels. URSP is $4,500 for the academic year for juniors and $6,000 for seniors for the entire academic year. And while there's not a course associated with it, you still get access to me and all my resources that I love to throw at students. So I hope you will check out these programs as well as our others. And just my final, we are active on social media, so you can find us on Facebook and Instagram, URC Sciences at UCLA, and just check us out. We like to post information about our own programs. We also post information from our colleagues and collaborators here on campus. So anything that seems relevant to an undergraduate student audience, we're going to post it. And we love to celebrate our undergraduate students and their success. So as you achieve success in your research, definitely reach out to us and let us know so that we can post about it. We can post about an amazing award that you got, or a paper that you are an author on, anything. We're not looking to turn down students. We love a reason to celebrate. And with that, if there's time, I'll take questions.
Thank you, Janet. Those of you who have questions, you can post it in the Q&A for Janet. And if you have questions about Career Center or the event itself, you can put it in the chat. So feel free to type in some questions. And while we are waiting, I'm going to give the floor to the Undergraduate Science Journal. So I don't know who wants to start. Victoria?
Yes.
All right.
Can everyone see that all right? Yes. Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. We're going to be presenting the Undergraduate Science Journal. We'll just introduce everyone on our team first. So my name is Victoria. I'm one of the co-editor-in-chiefs this year at USJ, and I'm also a third-year human biology and society major. And then I'll let, first person on my screen I see is Kevin, so I'll let you introduce yourself.
All right, hey guys, I'm Kevin. I'm a fourth-year biochemistry major, and I'm the review board managing editor for this year. So I guess I'll pass it on to Nicole.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm the managing editor of Layout, and I'm a fourth-year bioengineering major. I'll pass it to Sophia.
Hi guys, my name is Sophia. I'm a third-year human bio and society major, and I am the managing editor of the editorial board. And I think that leaves James. Oh, is James not here?
I think his connection might be a little, but it's okay. Come back to James. So yeah, let's get into the presentation. So about USJ, we're an annual student-run scientific journal publication. We're peer-reviewed and recognized actually by the Library of Congress, so that's pretty cool. And what we do is really just showcase the research carried out by undergraduates here at UCLA across all scientific fields. And our goal is really to expose students to all the diverse research that happens here at UCLA. And fun fact, I guess, that we have the 1,200 copy circulation to students, faculty, and alumni here. And so how can you get involved? So at USJ, you get to interact with student authors who work on research projects in real time. And you really gain an in-depth experience in scientific writing and reviewing scientific writing. And you really also get to use your imagination, knowledge, and skills to make science and research accessible to everyone, which is really important for science and research. And you also get to contribute and strengthen the atmosphere of scientific discussion at UCLA. And another really important I guess, cause that we like to emphasize is scientific communication, which, as you all probably know, is also very important, especially now that we're in a pandemic. And another really unique aspect of USJ is that you get involved in this process of peer review and publishing a scientific journal, which is usually an experience that a lot of people get in graduate school, but you get to experience it as an undergraduate here if you're a part of USJ. And so now we'll kind of introduce how USJ and the staff is organized. So as I mentioned before, I'm the editor-in-chief, and along with James. And we also have a team of managing editors who also oversee their individual boards. And we'll talk a little bit more about what those boards are later. And so the boards are review, editorial, and layout. And we also have assisting managing editors who assist the managing editors with the work in their individual boards. And we are recruiting assistant managing editors this quarter, but just note that applications for those are due 1 week earlier than the regular board member applications. And now I'll let my managing editors introduce their individual boards, starting with Kevin.
Yeah, so review board sounds like what the name is. So basically what we do is we review the content of the paper submissions from all the student authors at UCLA. And what that means is we just want to make sure that the conclusions and the scientific figures and information that they report does make sense. They're all correlatory and nothing seems fishy. And then two really important things that I enjoy about review board is that you get to really critically think and apply what you learn from class into a more scientifically relevant situation. So you learn everything from like your STEM class and you're like, when will I ever use this in real life? And this is a perfect example. And then afterwards, you can also like improve your knowledge and have a more holistic perspective of sciences in general. Like personally for me, I read a paper last year about lipoproteins, which I would never think to be useful in my life. But then I learned about it in one of my biochem classes and it let me pass the class. So that was pretty cool. So yeah.
Okay, so I can take it next. So once again, I'm the managing editor of editorial. And so editorial board is dedicated more to the writing and the language and cohesion of the articles that we get submitted. So this means that we're looking more at, how readable is this text? What edits can we make to make this article make more sense, to make the results clearer, and in general, like make the science a little bit more accessible, just because we are mostly sharing this journal with other undergraduates. The reason why I chose editorial board when I was joining USJ is because I've always had a passion for writing. I love to write. And I kind of saw this board as like a way to combine my interest in like research and science with that passion for writing and grammar. I really like it because I feel like it's very intersectional in that way. And I think it's really helped me not only in like my lab and like, doing literature review for my research, but like Kevin said in my classes too, like I think it really helps you critically think, like in this board specifically from like that grammatical standpoint. Like I feel like it's helped my writing specifically a lot more. Like I feel like I'm a better writer because I'm in this board. So yeah, that's a little bit about editorial.
Hi, I'm Nicole, the managing editor of Layout. We're responsible for everything that pertains to what the journal looks like. So everything that you can perceive that isn't the content itself is designed by Layout. For example, the fonts or the placement of the figures. So it's kind of like the combination of art and science. Layout board is also the smallest team at USJ, so I think it's really fun because everyone gets to know each other really well, and it definitely feels very close-knit and collaborative.
And now we'll go over a little bit about kind of what the timeline of making USJ is. And so we start off in winter quarter, officially once all our board members are accepted. And during the winter quarter, mainly editorial and review board is active. So review is reviewing the articles that were submitted over winter break. And they work with authors in addition to editorial board and kind of revise their articles for scientific and grammatical accuracy, like my Emmys talked about earlier. And so the deadline for that is typically spring break. And another addition to winter quarter, I guess, is the USJ honors course, which we'll talk about later on. But that's kind of a course to learn more about the process of making a scientific publication. And then in late March and April, Layout board is active, and this is when final revisions by faculty and editors will happen for the articles. And then in April, we'll send the journal to print. And then in late May, the journals will be available. And in June, we'll have an end of the year banquet where we get to present. And it's really fun. And James?
Sure. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. So my name is James. I'm one of the editors-in-chief along with Victoria, and I was just having some Zoom and internet issues. But yeah, just continuing on the presentation. You can also be a part of USJ on the other side as an author instead of a staff member, or you could do both. But if you are interested in being an author and publishing for USJ, we accept articles until Monday, January 11th. So I think, yeah, typically the second Monday of the school year. And basically you can submit any type of article as long as it's either a review article or a research article. So a review article is typically kind of like a literature review. You can survey a lot of the literature and a lot of the papers that have been coming out about a specific topic that you're interested in. And you kind of bring your own insight. You synthesize a lot of these sources and you create like a paper that you can publish in USJ. Alternatively, you can publish a research paper, which is original research that you have conducted in a lab or on the computer, anything like that. And so typically most of our articles are within the research category, but we're always looking for review articles, especially because the past year has been primarily remote. And so if you're interested, feel free to submit any of these types of articles. We accept life science, physical science, engineering, that type of thing. In addition, as Victoria mentioned during the timeline, we also offer the Honors Collegium 101B course, which is required for all USJ staff. It's basically a 2-unit pass, no pass seminar, similar in workload probably to like a few lux. And you get honors credit. So you get 2 units of honors credit, which you can apply to the honors program if you are in it. It's every winter quarter and on Wednesdays from 5 to 7 p.m. And it has a lot of different activities and board workshops that we do to kind of introduce you to scientific writing, scientific communication, and the publication process. So we do journal clubs, for example, and there's just a lot of hands-on activities. And it's a great way to kind of get yourself involved in kind of this publication process. And yeah, it's also mandatory for USJ involvement and because it does provide a lot of these specific skills that you'll need on the board itself. Yeah, so we're accepting applications for all of the boards, review, editorial, and layout, as well as the AMU positions. And also we encourage all of the disciplines, everyone who's interested in USJ to apply. If you're a life science major, if you're a physical science major, if you're pre-med, we welcome everyone, and particularly because this workshop is for pre-meds, we invite you to apply this year. And also, if you're first year, don't feel intimidated. Again, the honor seminar teaches a lot of the skills that you'll need to know on your board. And so we welcome all years. Yeah, we're excited to do the applications. Yeah, so you can find the application on the website, which is uclausj.weebly.com. They'll be due that Saturday, November 6th. We have approximately a month. And if you have any questions, you can always email us or get in contact from there. So through our email, Facebook, or Instagram.
Thank you so much for that presentation and for everybody to be here and share your roles in the journal. And I'm very excited to learn about all of this along with the students. If you get any questions in the Q&A, feel free to type in an answer. And I invite Professor Clark to introduce the biomedical research minor.
Okay, well, thank you, Christina. Let me just bring up my presentation here. Oops, sorry, just 1 second. I'm sorry. I was supposed to be ready for this. Just a second. Okay. All right, I hope you can all see my screen here.
Yes, we can.
Hey, thanks. All right, well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I want to tell all of you about our biomedical research minor. This is freestanding minor, as I'll explain shortly. It's not attached to any one major. We have been running this minor since 2007, so it's going to complete its 15th year by this spring. And this is a program that it's an academic minor that is centered around undergraduate research in the life sciences. It's called biomedical research, but really any kind of biological related research really counts for us. And then it's supported by an interdisciplinary curriculum, and I'll get into that in a minute. Its original seed funding came not only from UCLA, but from the Howard Hughes Medical Institute. And it's now fully supported by UCLA. So this program was started originally in 2007 by Professor Utpal Banerjee, who's a professor in MCDB, and he had funding from the Howard Hughes Medical Institute to develop innovative science education programs. He was our founding director and for 10 years, from 2007 to 2017. From 2017 to this past year, 2021, we were led by Dean Tracy Johnson, who's, when she's not wearing her dean hat, is also a professor in MCDB and is also a Howard Hughes Medical Institute funded professor. So she's received funding from that institute for innovative science education programs as well. Our current director is Professor Karen Lyons, also from MCDB. There's a theme here. The leadership of this minor has come from MCDB, but as I will explain in a moment, the student body comes from all majors. I work closely with Dr. Lyons. I'm the associate director, and Jairo Ramos is our student affairs officer. So he's basically our counselor for the minor and can answer any questions that students have about academic planning, et cetera. We have a fantastic instructional team led by Drs. Kirsten Turlow, Dr. Amy Fluitt, Carrie Spratford, and Diana Rigger. And not shown here is also Tina Austin, who's teaching with us this year. And these instructors really do a fantastic job teaching our courses, and they're very student-centered and really try to foster that innovative and creative spirit that I think all students who are pursuing research have, and while also developing the critical thinking skills that are necessary for success in the field. So as I mentioned a minute ago, the program was started in 2007. Since that time, we've had over, these numbers are actually out of date, we've had over 1,000 students participate in research collectively in more than 300 laboratories on campus. And that's not just at the college, but many at the School of Medicine, at the School of Engineering, at the School of Dentistry, at the School of Nursing. Our website is listed at the bottom here. I'll have it at the very end as well. So as I said, students can come from any major and add this minor to their major. But unlike many majors, you can't just add the minor. You do have to apply to be admitted into the program, because we do invest a lot of resources into each student. One other thing that we do have as a requirement is a minimum GPA of 3.0. So I'm going to get into the application process a little more towards the end of the talk. But I first want to tell you a little bit about what the minor will provide you. So if you participate in this minor, of course, you're going to get training as a research scientist. We don't expect that every one of our students will pursue that as their ultimate career path, but it's our goal that every student who graduates from UCLA with this minor has the tools and the preparation needed to pursue that career path if they want to. And so they're prepared, for instance, to enter a graduate program and pursue a PhD if that's what they want to do. As I'll describe in a minute, we require a significant amount to complete this minor. And we don't think that it's fair to tell students, you know, you're going to have to do all of this research to finish the minor. Good luck finding a lab. So if you're in a lab when you join the minor and you're happy there, you can absolutely stay there. But if you're not in a lab, or and many or most of our students who come into the minor are not in labs, or if you're in a lab that's not really the best fit for you, then we will meet with you and help to place you in a lab that fits with your interests. And that's kind of what I mean by informed lab placement. It's also informed by our experience with previous students who've worked in labs across campus. We have developed kind of an internal body of knowledge of which labs provide really excellent mentorship for our students. And we try to guide students towards those labs. You'll be part of an undergraduate research community, as you've heard earlier today, this evening. UCLA has a really vibrant and large undergraduate research community led by programs that the Undergraduate Research Center runs, the Undergraduate Science Journal, which you just heard about. The minor also has its own student group called the Biomedical Research Society, and you'll be part of that if you're in the minor. And of course, these are not exclusive. So many of our students also participate in programs run by the URC. Several of our students have been, editors, et cetera, with the USJ. So, you'll be connected with multiple aspects of the undergraduate research community at UCLA. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, the curriculum for the minor is interdisciplinary. So in addition to a scientific component, there is a humanities and social science component. I'll get into that a little more in the coming slide, I think. So these are the course requirements if you join the minor. You'll take a course called Biomedical Research 5HB. This it kind of does a deep dive into a research project and then teaches you how to develop your own research proposal. You will also conduct at least 4 quarters of letter graded research. This is typically the 199 course. And that will ultimately result in a thesis that you will write in your senior year that kind of encompasses all of the work that you've done. I want to point out that we try to provide some overlap between this minor and other requirements that students have to minimize the number of additional units that we're adding. And so one aspect of the overlap is that many of the majors, particularly in life sciences, will provide credit towards upper division requirements of the major for independent research. They'll typically allow 2 or 3 quarters of your 199 research to be applied to your major. We allow 2 quarters of that to double count with the minor. So if you were, say, in one of those majors, it allowed you to apply 2 quarters of research to your major. You would still have to do 4 quarters of research, but 2 of them are already counting towards your major. We have 2 seminar courses, Biomedical Research 193H, where we collectively read primary research papers, a paper every week, and discuss it collectively as a class. So you learn how to read these papers critically and analyze them. And Biomedical Research 194H, where you will present a seminar to your classmates on the research you're doing in your lab. And you'll listen to seminars by your classmates on the work they're doing and learn how to engage them with questions, and even if the work is outside your field of expertise. Another course that we required, this is now getting into the humanities and social science aspect, is MCDB 60. This is a biomedical ethics course. And again, getting back to that overlap, this is a GE course in philosophical analysis. So if you have GEs to fulfill, and in particular, if you still need to fulfill your philosophical and linguistic analysis course, and you're thinking about the minor, take MCDB 60 or save that GE to use MCDB 60 to complete it, because if you do join this minor, you'll have to take 60, whether you've taken another GE in that field or not. And finally, we require one upper division elective course in history or philosophy or sociology of science. We have over 20 different options that you can choose from, ranging from things like history of medicine to biotechnology and art to public health courses. And so you can look over that list and decide what is a best fit for you. You take one of those courses and you're good. Okay, the research requirements for the minor, as I said, you're going to need to do at least 4 quarters of letter graded research. The lab that you join can be anywhere on campus, including the medical school, the dental school, the School of Engineering, the college, etc. And we will meet with you individually to help choose the right lab for you if you're not already in a lab when you join the minor. In addition to your thesis, you'll have to do at least 1 poster presentation. So this will typically be at say, the Undergraduate Research Showcase that Dr. Goins talked about earlier. But also many of the majors have poster sessions as well. And at the end of your time time at UCLA, you'll write a senior thesis. So this will be due the last quarter that you were enrolled as a student. I want to point out that spending this much time in your undergraduate career in research can often result in you producing data and results that the lab wants to include in a publication. And many labs, if they include your data in a publication, will make you a co-author on your paper. So we've had, again, these numbers are out of date, over 350 peer-reviewed publications with 1 or more of our students as co-authors on the publication. At least 243 of our students for the minor have been an author on at least 1 paper. And there are 25 papers, again, this number has increased, with 1 of our students as a first author. This number is pretty stable. 42% of our alumni, the totals here are out of date. This percentage has been stable, have at least 1 publication from their undergraduate thesis research. So I want to end up by pointing out once again that to get into this minor, you do have to apply. And in order to apply, we do require that you take an introductory course. There are 4 choices. You choose 1 and you can apply. And you can apply as early as the quarter that you're taking that course. So most of our students take Biomedical Research 5HA. Some of our students take Biomedical Research 10H. 5HA is a course where you will hear a research seminar by an invited speaker, and then the instructor does a deep dive with you into that seminar and kind of unpacks it so it's understandable. And we do 2 seminars in 1 quarter. Biomedical Research 10H is a hands-on research course where you'll be participating in an original research project in Drosophila genetics. And our goal is to eventually collect all the data that our students produce from several quarters of working on that project. Each student works for just 1 quarter, but we take several quarters worth of classes, submit it to a journal for publication. And if we're successful in publishing the paper, and we've published at least 4 papers by now, every student who was in the class working on that project has made a co-author on the paper. We've had papers with 350 student authors. MCDB 30H and Honors Collegium 70A are 2 other choices that students have. You take one of these 4 courses and you can apply to the minor. So this is, I'm just going to end up with a sample timeline. This is not by any means the only option, but let's say you're just hearing about the minor right now in fall of 21. Next quarter, you take one of those introductory courses, you apply to the minor, you're admitted, hooray. In the spring of 22, we will ask you to take the Biomedical Research 5HB course, and we'll meet with you to discuss your lab placement. And the goal will be to get you placed as of the next quarter. So let's say in the summer, you join that lab, and you start with an SRP 99. This is 2 units, pass, no pass. Does not count for the minor, but it's a good low stakes entry course to get started. Do start with that. And then the next year you would do your 4 quarters of 199, adding in some of the other courses required for the minor, do your poster presentation in the spring, and then in the following summer, you would write your 199, submit your thesis, and get your diploma. This is just one timeline. It's not at all the only way to do this, but if you're, say, a transfer student and you're just hearing about the minor now, this would be a path that could make it work. So finally, I just want to let you know that our applications run every quarter. They open in week 4, they close at the end of week 7. We do have a deadline of fall of the 3rd year for applying to the minor. That deadline is extended to winter of 3rd year for transfer students, because fall would basically mean they have to come in ready to apply the 1st quarter. If you're interested and you want more information, you want the link to the application, if you're taking one of the intro courses, please visit our website, biomedresearchminor.ucla.edu. Again, Jairo Ramos is our student affairs officer, and his email is shown at the bottom here. I want to thank you for your time. I'm happy to take any questions over chat.
Thank you, Professor Clark. So if you have any questions about the biomedical research minor, please type it in the Q&A or the chat. The Q&A is probably a little bit easier to monitor and people can see the answers, so feel free to do that. Up next is EMRA. It stands for Emergency Medicine Research Associates, and I believe Emmy is here to talk about that program.
Thank you, Christina. Okay, I'm going to share screen now. And hopefully, can everybody see the slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Emmy Dunsford. My pronouns are she, her. And I'm here to talk to you about the Emergency Medicine Research Associates program that I'm a part of. I am currently the publicity coordinator for this program. And in this, we'll talk a little bit about what we do and our recruitment cycle this year. So our purpose is basically to advance the practice of emergency medicine and clinical research. We are based out of Ronald Reagan Emergency Department, and we work together with the emergency residents and physicians to assist with faculty-conducted clinical research studies and provide educational opportunities that help with professional development and research. These are our faculty sponsors. They're amazing to work with, and to get going, these are our EMRAS. So we have about 30 to 40 volunteers who serve on this organization. And this is a somewhat older picture, but as you can see, like we're all very close, and it's grown to be like a family of people who like to work together a lot. And we are not healthcare providers. We do not have any physical contact with the patients. We do not give any medical advice, and we are not research experts. We are here to learn, but we do not ourselves perform the data interpretation and analysis required of research. Our duties is that we screen for qualifying patients using the technology that we use in the emergency department to be able to see patient health information. We're all certified for HIPAA in UCLA Health, and we communicate with the healthcare staff about patient condition and ability to consent. We do assist in obtaining the informed consent from patients as well. And it's mostly just data collection, and it depends on the study, but in some studies we help with facilitating for blood samples. In some, we talk to the patients about what the further course of treatment could be. But to continue, so what we offer is research credit, SRP Med 99, and other things that come with this program are a lot of mentorship. So we have opportunity to shadow, we have emergency medicine educational events, mentorship opportunities, which are incredible. If you join our mentorship committee, you are able to get paired up with an emergency medicine resident, and they give you advice on your career journey, which is invaluable. I have a very great relationship with my emergency medicine resident, and he helps me with my medical school application. And also to add this in, this is by no means just a pre-med organization. We have people who are only interested in research or interested in other healthcare careers, and it has a lot to offer other people as well. So also, I love how we put emergency medicine jackets on it. I was repping here, so hopefully you can see. But these are all of the resources that we give. Also, for the COVID experience, we have in-person general meetings and committee participation and social events as well. But we have remote location transition, where we're currently in a satellite office and we're conducting emergency medicine clinical trial information from there. And we do not go into the hospital yet, but we're working on getting back in as soon as it allows for COVID protocol. So these are also some of the things that we currently have. I wanted to talk about 3 special committees. So we have the research committee, which is great. I think someone mentioned earlier talking about like poster presentations. We also do this here. We have a tri-quarterly EMRA journal club. I've been on this. It's really interesting to talk about these research articles with other EMRAs. And we also discuss hot topics in medicine while presenting on the clinical research. The time commitment is about 4 quarterly meetings and 1.5 hours with additional prep. And I want to reiterate that these committees are optional. It is what you want to take on once you join the organization. There is also a mentorship committee. This involves a lot of resources that help with your career exploration and just career furthering and professional development. It oversees shadowing, emergency medicine events, pre-professional workshops, which are so helpful, and physician member mentors. So it has quarterly meetings and you work on projects to conduct outside of meetings, which is very helpful as well. And education committee, which is also my committee, and I'm very, very proud of it. So what we do in education committee is we each pitch a project, and it is typically projects that help us provide resources that we use to the greater UCLA community. So an example of this was our COVID demystifying experience, which was a social media initiative where we helped explain what was in the vaccine, how it works, and we did our best to spread that information by social media when none of us could see each other during COVID. So that was just to help everyone with like the knowledge of what was going on and seeing it from a science standpoint, but also seeing it from a community initiative standpoint. There are no scheduled meetings, you pitch projects and then you work on the team. That's why I love this committee. So what we look for in an applicant is a passion for medicine and healthcare, dedication, reliability, and this is a big one, interpersonal and communication skills. Your ability to conduct yourself in a professional way is super important to us, and as it should be in a hospital where we are volunteers and we are supposed to be interacting with patients, but in a professional manner. Also attention to detail, of course, but good judgment. As for the time commitment, we have a 1-year time commitment that begins when you finish your training, and training includes all holidays and school breaks as well. It is about 8 hours per week. As of right now, during our COVID shifts, during the COVID experience, it has been less than this because we're at a satellite location, but typically it is a 4-hour hospital shift and a 2-hour clerical shift where we are conducting clinical research from that satellite location. Also, we have 2 general meetings per quarter, each about 2 to 3 hours in length. And this experience is what you make of it. There are additional opportunities available outside of shifts like the committees, like I said before, but it's really what you choose to take on. We also have summer shifts, which is a huge deal. You need to know that you are going to be able to be on campus for those. And there is no deferral of admission allowed. If you are admitted, we are expecting you to be a part of that cohort because we want to have you. For the application process, this is our David Geffen School of Medicine page. And the application has opened already, but it is due on October 15th at 11:59 p.m. No late applications are accepted, and the first round of our recruitment is a written application. So after the written application, we have 2 rounds of interviews, and I should add this as well. All applications are identified and reviewed by a panel of coordinators and managers. They are scored against a standardizing rubric, and we have a holistic approach, which means that GPA is not a screening factor for us. I wanted to add this, follow us on Instagram. This is where we post most of our recruitment updates, and we actually our studies that we're involved in, and all of our commitments, our events, we do a good job of showing them on our Instagram. It is like our primary method of communication. Thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions, please feel free to either chat box me or follow us on Instagram and DM us. This week, we are currently doing an Instagram takeover. So we are accepting questions about our application process, what it's like to be an EMRA, membership, anything. So make sure to ask us that, and we're excited to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy, for being here and for all that information. If you have any questions for Amy, please type it in the Q&A or chat. I guess we can monitor both at this point. And we're gonna move on to our next presentation from CTSI.
Hi, everyone. I'm just gonna pull up the slides. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yes, we can.
Great. Okay. Hi, everyone. First of all, I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. CTSI was very excited to be a part of this event. Before we get started, I'll just let you know my name is Megan. I use she, her pronouns.
And my name is Brandon. I use he, him pronouns.
Yeah, and we're from CTSI RAP, which stands for Clinical Translational Science Institute Research Associates Program. Yeah, and we'll tell you a little bit more about the program in general, and then we'll tell you about student responsibilities, and Brandon and I will talk about our experiences so you can get a better idea of what a typical RAP student does, and then we'll finish off by telling y'all a little bit more about recruitment. So to begin with, CTSI provides undergraduate students exposure to hospital-based health practice and clinical research. Through the CTSI RAP program, you become trained in research methodology to be involved in every single step of the clinical research process. So through this training and through this exposure, you become extremely comfortable with the inner workings of a hospital, and you gain skills in professionalism and patient communication, which are invaluable for a lot of our students who are planning on going into pre-med or pre-health spaces. So they carry that experience forward with them into places like medical school. And again, through all of this experience, you gain so much invaluable insight and foundation for how public healthcare works to prepare yourself for future careers. CTSI doesn't take from any particular major or background, but a lot of our tend to be pre-med, pre-health, stuff like that. So it can be extremely helpful for people who are going into something like that. Yeah, so I will begin by telling y'all a little bit more about what I've done in CTSI. So again, my name is Megan. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a fourth year physiological science major. I joined CTSI in fall of 2020. So I've only been in the program for about a year. So the majority of my experience with CTSI has been in the online format. But even still, I've had such a wonderful time getting to know everyone within the cohort. And also I've gained so much experience in clinical research that I'm so excited to carry forward with me as I plan to apply to med school. So particularly right now, I'm working on a study where we look at how gender influences the progression of Alzheimer's disease. So specifically, we're looking at studying the life histories of older women with the goal of understanding how experiences and exposures may change the immune system and influence the progression of Alzheimer's disease, specifically looking at reproductive history such as pregnancies, miscarriages, estrogen exposure, to inform how Alzheimer's disease is studied. So particularly on my study, I'm involved in medical record abstraction and review, making sure that everyone who is going to be consented to the project is eligible. And then the other thing that I mostly work on is my favorite part, which is working with the patient consent process. So right now we've been onboarding participants for the study through Zoom interviews, where I get to interview the women about their life experiences and their medical history and have that face-to-face patient contact, which I've been in labs at UCLA, and never really had so much face-to-face contact with patients, and it's been really wonderful. And I feel like it's going to prepare me so well for going into the healthcare field in general. Yeah, so I'll throw it over to Brandon so he can tell you a little bit more about what he does in CTSI RAP.
Hello, just to reintroduce myself, my name is Brandon Tan. I am a fourth year biochemistry major, and I joined CTSI RAP in winter of 2019, which is my second year. Right now in CTSI RAP, I'm actually part of a research study called the Neurocognition, Depression, and Alzheimer's Study. And this study is actually just like an umbrella term for a bunch of different sub-studies under my PI, Dr. Helen Lavretsky. I am personally a part of 2 of these sub-studies. I participate in the Optimum Bone Health Study, which examines the effects of antidepressants on bone loss. Specifically in that study, we compare the effects of serotonin modulating antidepressants versus those that do not act on serotonin. And secondly, I'm also a research associate for the Brain Imaging in COVID-19 study, which links the neuropsychiatric and cognitive effects of what's known as long-term COVID-19. And I help as an MRI second safety to analyze the anatomical and functional activities of the brain. So the RAP responsibilities or student responsibilities varies from study to study. Particularly in my study, I am a part of a couple of different responsibilities. First and foremost, I help with the telephone screenings and conference calls. And this is basically the eligibility of criteria in screening participants and seeing if they are eligible to participate in the study or not. Additionally, I participate in conducting the informed consent process, which I do get to do in person. I am also a liaison between our study coordinators and the participants. So I help manage appointments and also take BMI and also blood pressure. I also am lucky enough to be able to do a couple interesting things in the study, such as scoring and conducting neuropsychological tests. And also I'm being trained to become an MRI second safety. And finally, during my downtime, I'm able to write up posters and abstracts pertaining to the study. So everybody's involvement within the program is different, but we all are a part of the same involvement, or we all are being assigned to the study by our mentors. So basically, we have 2 mentors in our program, Dr. Lori Shaker-Irwin and also Dr. Fetterman, who help us match us to a study from a PI. It's a pretty detailed match process. We fill out an interest form to indicate what you want to get out of clinical research. For example, some people might be more interested in database clinical research or statistics-based clinical research. So you can indicate that in the form. I personally was interested in face-to-face communication with patients. So I indicated on my clinical research form that I wanted studies that were based with patient communications. And once you fill out the form, our mentors help us match with a plethora of different clinical research studies that they offer. We currently have around 30 active studies that clinical research associates can be a part of. And before you onboard onto the study, you interview with your PI to kind of get a match of either your personal goals and also a match of personality as well. Within our program, CTSI has a lot of different opportunities outside of clinical research. We have weekly general meetings in person. We also have different leadership opportunities. We have a shadowing program with our pediatric oncologist, Dr. Noah Fetterman. And we also have a lot of guest speakers that come in for weekly general meetings. And these guest speakers range from either current medical students, medical school students, public health officials, and even physicians that kind of come in on a week-to-week basis to talk to us. I'm personally a part of leadership for CTSI RAP. There are different leadership positions such as student directors, recruitment chairs, social media, and research ambassadors. I, along with Megan, are both research ambassadors, And we basically host events to kind of promote learning and knowledge of clinical research to the general UCLA community. Previous events that we have hosted in the past are clinical research ethics, overcoming barriers to pre-health education, and also just a general what is clinical research events. I'll be passing on the mic to Megan, who can talk to you more about our recruitment cycle.
So if all of this sounds like something that would be of interest to you, networking, shadowing, performing clinical research, leadership opportunities, we would definitely encourage you to apply. Our applications are currently open and they do close tomorrow, the 8th at 11:59 p.m. The best way to find information about our program and the application itself is through our website, which you can see on the slide right here. We also keep our Instagram very, very active with any events that we're involved in and also recruitment updates. We also had some info sessions last week that have been recorded and posted on the Instagram, so you can find a lot more detailed information where our recruitment chairs go into way more detail about the specifics of the program and everything like that. But in general, to apply, you just have to be a sophomore, junior, or a non-graduating transfer. We typically look for someone with over a 3.0 GPA, but there's no particular major required, no particular research experience that's required. Yeah, we kind of try to look at you holistically and look at someone's passion and potential for clinical research, not necessarily that they have such a padded resume. Yeah, so I would definitely encourage everyone to apply if you are interested in getting involved with CTSI, and we would look forward to reading your applications.
Thank you so much, Megan and Brandon, for the information. If anyone has any questions about the CTSI program, again, Q&A or the chat is open for posting questions. And lastly, but not least, stroke team. So who's here? Manya and Daniel. Okay. So let me see if I gave you guys screen sharing because you checked in a little later. So Manya, you have it now. And Daniel, let me see. And yeah, Daniel does too now. So feel free to start your presentation.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Manya. I am a fourth year neuroscience major, and I'm one of the co-head coordinators for the student stroke team.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel. I'm a third year psychobio major, and I'm the external coordinator for student stroke team.
And we're really excited to be here today to talk to you about our program, what we do, and how you can apply if you're interested in shadowing and clinical research at Ronald Reagan. All right, we just did introduction, so I'll hop right in. A little bit of background about our program. We were started in 1992 by Dr. Sidney Starkman, who is a physician in neurology and emergency medicine, and he continues to head our program even today. Under normal conditions, we would operate from 8 a.m. to midnight every single day of the week, every single day of the year. So we're really committed to having one of our members in the hospital at all times to help physicians with stroke trial enrollment. And essentially, our main goal is to serve as the eyes and ears of the UCLA Brain Attack team. And that means that we're assisting doctors with screening and identifying stroke patients that come into the emergency department to see which one of them qualify for enrollment in clinical trials for the novel stroke therapies that we are interested in. So I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about stroke therapies. This is so that you all can kind of know more about what we do. If you're interested in applying, you definitely don't need to know any of this knowledge beforehand. We would welcome your application regardless. We just hope that by talking about this, we can ensure that you would definitely have a passion for stroke, neurology, and the brain. So stroke, in simple terms, is the sudden lack of blood flow caused by a blockage of an artery that prevents brain tissue from receiving oxygen, which can cause the brain tissue to get damaged and die, leading to devastating physical disabilities as well as death in serious cases. So there are two main types of stroke. The first one is ischemic stroke, which is characterized by an occlusion or blockage in a blood vessel, and it accounts for the majority of strokes in the United States. There are a variety of causes such as thrombosis, which is just the creation of a clot in the artery itself, or an embolism, which is when a clot might form from another area of your body, let's say one of the arteries in your leg, and then get dislodged and travel all the way up through the bloodstream to reach your brain and cause a clot there. And then the other type of stroke is called a hemorrhagic stroke, which is characterized by a bleed in the brain due to a ruptured blood vessel, and it accounts for about 13% of all strokes. Common causes for hemorrhages are aneurysms, which is when the blood vessel wall is weakened and it causes this sort of ballooning out, as you can see on the picture of the right, and then that causes a rupture. Other causes are arteriovenous malformations, which are tangles of arteries and veins that aren't supposed to be there, and that also leads to weakening of the vessel walls, as well as uncontrollable hypertension or high blood pressure. So a little bit about stroke therapies, which we commonly see at the hospital. There are two main approved therapies for stroke. One is a drug called IV-TPA, also known as Activase, and it's essentially a clot buster. It activates the mechanisms behind the clots that form in your brain, and it's one of the only FDA-approved drugs for strokes currently. There are also thrombectomy devices or mechanical tools that get threaded through your artery all the way up to the clot to physically remove them. And as you can see on the picture on the bottom, this is an angiogram or a picture of the blood vessels of this patient's brain. And on the left picture, you can see that there isn't blood flow happening in the red circle pictured. On the right side, after they have been treated for strokes, that clot has been removed and blood flow has been restored, hopefully helping the patient recover whatever symptoms they had. One really awesome part about being at UCLA is that so many awesome stroke treatments and stroke advancements have occurred here. So Mercy was one of the first, or was the first FDA approved device for clot retrieval for ischemic strokes, and it was developed here in 2001. It was a corkscrew shaped device, and since then there have been lots of new iterations on these sorts of devices, such as the solitaire stent retriever. The stent being a mesh-like tube that opens up the blood vessel so that the retriever can grasp the clot and take it out. The pictures on the bottom show you the solitaire stent retriever and a picture of clots that were actually taken out of patients' brains. All right, for now, I'm going to skip this video, but there are a lot of cool videos on YouTube for showing you how stent retrievers and other thrombectomy devices work. So here are just a few of the current and past clinical trials we've done with student stroke team. Just to highlight a few, Tesseract was one in which we tried to see if transcranial direct current stimulation helped patients that had strokes recover from the strokes better. We also had Seacoast, which looked into carbon dioxide levels during patients when they were going under anesthesia for thrombectomies or other stroke treatments to see how their outcomes differed, as well as Tiger on the bottom here, which was just another generation of the stent retriever devices. So a lot of this research has been published. A lot of it is still ongoing, even despite the pandemic, and we're really excited to share this with interested members. So a little bit more about what we do. So our role in the emergency department is to identify the key symptoms that would encourage enrollment of a patient in a trial. So we shadow the physicians when the patient comes into the emergency department. We observe the physician's exams to try to obtain relevant information, such as the time of onset for the stroke symptoms, the relevant symptoms, other previous medical history. And then we contact our head physician, Dr. Starkman, to discuss with him whether or not this patient should be enrolled in a clinical trial and which clinical trial if so. And otherwise, we work with the physicians to facilitate the enrollment process if the patients qualify. So we really get to be involved with the potential treatment plan of the patient, which is a really, really cool experience to have. And now Daniel will be talking a little bit more about our application process.
Yeah, thank you, Manya. I'm going to get right now into the details of what can you expect as certain benefits being a member of Student Stroke Team. And since we are in the hospital, we'll be receiving hospital volunteering hours. You'll be in the emergency department specifically, shadowing physicians, watching and observing how they treat code strokes in the ED at Ronald Reagan. In addition to that, you will get clinical research experience. Since as a student stroke team member, you're functioning as a clinical research associate, determining if patients coming in are eligible for stroke clinical trials, you really get a deep understanding of the clinical research process. And since you're right in there, you understand not only the bigger picture, different types of phases of trials, but really what happens in getting a patient consented and what it can mean for their treatment plan. And you're really directly involved in that experience. In addition to that, like was mentioned before, there's emergency room exposure. These patients come in presenting with stroke symptoms. And in addition to that, UCLA is a comprehensive stroke center. That means we have the most up-to-date technology. We have stroke neurologists on shift at all hours, and you're really interacting with UCLA's top neurologists and some of the best neurologists in the world. And it's really an incredible opportunity to see how they work with patients, how they work with their fellow neurologists in finding the best treatment plan for their patients. And in addition to all these incredible experiences you could have on shift, there's another aspect of the program called neuro rounds, where you have the opportunity to actually shadow physicians on their morning rounds when they're discussing cases from last night with their peers, and then going out and actually speaking to the patients and discussing treatment plans and seeing how things change, and really you can really become intimately involved in the process of diagnostics and treatment, and you get a better understanding of what it means to be a neurologist treating stroke and even other conditions in the Ronald Reagan ED. In addition to that, if you are able to form these sort of mentoring relationships with these neurologists at UCLA, there's always the opportunity to pursue SRP credit with these physicians, and we have had members that have pursued these opportunities before. Now, some more specific benefits of joining student stroke team is that we are truly well integrated into the neurology team. We really play a valuable role in the ED. We are helping residents enrolling patients in clinical trials. We're taking down valuable information, and you really feel like you're part of the stroke team and part of the treatment process for these patients. You're not actually diagnosing and not actually treating. That is the responsibility of the physicians, but you're there taking down pertinent medical information, and you really feel like you're playing an important role in the neurology team. In addition to that, this is really a learning experience for members. As will be emphasized later, we don't expect you to come into the student stroke team with a padded resume with all the clinical experience you can have. We really want members that are passionate about neurology, about stroke, and we really make sure to facilitate an environment where you could learn as much as you can about clinical trials and stroke care in the ED. In addition to that, we genuinely have minimal busy work. You won't be filling out that many forms and doing lots of like grinding busy work. When you're on shift, predominantly, if there's a code stroke on your shift, you will be predominantly focusing on this patient interaction and working with physicians and seeing what's actually happening, rather being stuck in office doing some busy work. And overall, you'll also get a greater appreciation for this clinical decision-making process, both on shifts and at neuro rounds, as I mentioned before. And right now, we're currently remote. We hope to return to shifts as soon as the volunteer office clears us. And that is up to the UCLA volunteer office. But as of now, the remote activities that I'm involved in are having guest speakers and residents give presentations, case studies, talk about papers. We have med student alumni panels, which are previous stroke team members that made the arduous journey to med school, are there now and are willing to share their experience and advice with us. And we also have weekly research papers on stroke and vascular neurology topics. And what we're really looking for in this program is, of course, academic diligence. It is a major commitment to be a member of stroke team, and we want to make sure that you can balance your time as a member of stroke team. In addition to that, you are representing UCLA Health, and even specifically Dr. Starkman as a research associate of Dr. Starkman on the student stroke team. And so it's very important that you could present yourself professionally and have be able to convey professionalism in every encounter. And we're definitely looking for that as a student stroke team member when you're in DD. And like mentioned before, it is a commitment. You will have 4 to 6 hour shifts when you're in person, in addition to virtual duties. So we want to make sure that you can commit. And there's also a 1 year long commitment we'll go over in future slides. And another thing to highlight as something that we're looking for is the ability to think on your feet under high pressure. This is an emergency department. We just want to make sure that you can think. Now, certain member requirements, we have a 1-day training. We'll get you up to date on everything you need to know as a student stroke team member, and that will be after the quarter, after finals week of the quarter in which you are accepted. We have 40 to 60 hours in the ER per quarter, because you have 46 hours per week, 4 to 6 hour shifts per week. As mentioned before, those incredible shadowing opportunities, neuro rounds, you're required to attend 2 of those quarterly. And once we're back in person, we hope those neuro rounds and shifts will be available to us again. And in addition to that, virtual duties remain, and those include, or not currently virtual, our quarterly meetings are in person, and we have 3 of them in a quarter. In addition to that, at those meetings, you'll see guest speakers, presentations, you'll see other stroke team members presenting about topics, including their literature review group project, where you'll get grouped with other student stroke team members and work on really diving deep into one topic of stroke neurology and writing a literature review on that. And you'll keep the team updated on your progress and make various presentations about that at those GMs, in addition to guest speakers and other events. And I want to emphasize that there is a 1 year commitment to the program, so you cannot be a graduating senior. Now, to delve more into those specific eligibility requirements, once again, you can't be a graduating 4th year, but we do take 1st years, 2nd years, and 3rd years, as long as they have an established UCLA GPA. So if you are a transfer or a 1st year without an established UCLA GPA, you have to wait until you have an established UCLA GPA to apply to student stroke team, excuse me. In addition to that, this is a requirement set up by the UCLA Health Volunteer Office. It's not unique to student stroke team, but if you are a current volunteer at UCLA Health, if you're in a UCLA Health volunteering program, you must finish your minimum requirement for that program, which is 50 hours, before you can join another program like UCLA Health, like student stroke team. So for example, if you are in care extenders, you must do your 50 hours with care extenders before you can join another organization under UCLA Health, like stroke team. And just to go over how to apply, we want you to email your applications to the email shown on this slide. All this information is on our website. That's where you'll find the application and the details on when and how to apply. But just to go over it again, the deadline is Tuesday, October 12th at 7 p.m. And we expect interviews to be week 4, and acceptances will go out in week 7. Once again, there is the URL for our website. All of this information can be found there. And we want to also emphasize that we do not take late applications, so make sure to get in your app in Tuesday, October 12th by 7 p.m. And that is a wrap on our presentation. Thank you so much for tuning in.
We would be more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for being here. And if you guys have any questions to any of our presenters, now is the time to ask. Since we are a small crowd, I'm gonna allow you guys to unmute and ask questions in person too, if that is easier. Let me see. And or you can type it in the Q&A. And I have one question for stroke team. I've been, hold on one second, let me stop recording.